Hello, hello, everybody. Here we go. Hi,
Are we live?
we're live. Hey, sorry for the little wait, and welcome everybody to our second stream. We're really glad you're here. Let's go. We have Quirky Hijinks in the chat, and we have Board Games with Scott as a new follower. Thank you very much for helping us out with our follower goal, which you can see down in the corner there. Uh, let's see if we can get to 40 today. That would be super great.
I guarantee it, Oma. I guarantee it.
Okay, it's a promise. It's a promise. Mika promised
Mhm.
me, so it will happen. Good. Uh, I don't know what will happen if, but we'll see. So
It'll happen.
it will happen. It will happen. Okay. This time around, it's just me and Mika, which is great. Because there's this topic is very near and dear to my heart and super interesting as well. As you can see, we will be talking about writing for interaction and participation. But before we get to that, say hello in chat if you're here. Hi, everyone. We'll be taking questions as usual and comments, reading comments as well. And hello, hi, awesome. Everybody saying hi. Nice. Wait. And we have Quirky Hijinks in the chat moderating, keeping everybody in line. I actually have a little story to tell before we get to today's topic. It's related. Back in when was it 2000 and maybe 9? I was a baby LARPer. I had started maybe a year before that or something, and I was studying, doing my bachelor's degree in screenwriting and TV directing and stuff. And yeah, I'd been to maybe 2 or 3 LARPs. I think 3 at that point. I've also organized a LARP, I guess, at that point, because that's how you start. You go once and then you're hooked, and then you start organizing immediately because you don't really know how to
Mhm.
get involved otherwise. So I
That's
did.
how it works.
Yeah. That's how you do it. Um, and during the summer, uh, there was, of course, Ropecon, which is a big convention, role-playing convention in Espoo. Hello, Nido. Good evening to you too.
It's,
And
Robocon is actually the biggest non-commercial in the north of Europe.
yes, yeah, it's
Biggest non-commercial convention.
yes, it is a pretty epic affair. It was organized in Espoo back then. Nowadays, it's in Helsinki because it's not a big enough venue anywhere else. And I think I actually went with Nidosaurus, who is saying good evening in the chat, because we had organized our first LARP together. And I'm not sure if it was that year or a year later or when, but I remember uh, being kind of a little bit bothered by the fact that I was supposed to write a thesis, my bachelor's thesis, and I had an idea and I was super interested in it, but it didn't quite, like, it wasn't flowing like thesis work often. It's a bit tricky. And then there was this guy who was having a talk in Ropecon, uh, called Mika Pohjola, who was talking about something along the lines of, I think specifically about a couple of productions, or maybe just Sanning and Marika. So about um, kind of a similar topic that we're talking about today, writing for participation. And I remember going listen to this talk in the big auditorium, and I was so blown away. Like, I was like, "Oh my god, this is something else. This is something completely different that I've never heard of." I'm completely new to the scene in general, and I know I love it already. And I was so interested in what Mika had to say and stories he told about the productions they had made, that I changed my thesis topic, and I wrote it about interactive TV instead. And that kind of led me on this path to where I am today. And I'm super happy to actually be talking with Mika about this. Yeah, influencer indeed. um,
You
and
never told me this.
no, I didn't. I was keeping it for this. I remembered it kind of back a couple of weeks ago. I was like, yeah, because we're gonna talk about this. I will tell it to you on stream. But yeah, I was very impressed. And we so I kind of knew of you and what you've done. What you've done. It sounds accusatory, but what you've accomplished and the productions that you've worked on. Uh, way before we started working together, and now we're kind of at a moment where we can discuss some of what you've done, again, what you've accomplished and the productions you've worked on, and particularly writing for interaction and participation. And yeah, people feel free to join in by asking questions and leaving comments, um, because we love interacting with you as well. But Mika, you have a lot to tell us, I assume, about stuff. So why don't we jump in?
Uh, I do indeed.
Yeah.
That took me by surprise, that little story of yours.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's if it was 2009, it was probably was Sanningen om
Yeah.
Marika, or the truth about Marika, which it's like one of the things that I'm gonna be talking about. Mainly, my topic is writing for participation and interaction, but I'm gonna give a lot of examples from previous work, and one of those examples is the truth about Marika. Um, yeah, I have prepared these slides. What do you think, Alma? Should I use them?
Yeah, let's jump in. Jump in.
The only problem is that I would love for this to be as participatory and interactive as possible, not just with you, Amma, but also with our lovely followers and fans who are watching this stream. So even though I've prepared slides, don't take it as a mean of saying that I'm not up for taking slide tours or forgetting all the slides altogether.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
I take requests.
we're flexible. Yes. Oh, did Mika freeze? Maybe. Nope.
That works.
Let's see. Okay, maybe
This is did I freeze? Did I freeze?
for a little while back
I
now.
did get the slides,
Mm-hmm. This is
sort of.
high tech, and that's why I always go a little
Okay.
bit.
You should soon see a green screen with white text saying writing for participation and interaction.
Mm-hmm.
You see it? Great.
Yes.
Hi, this is writing for participation and interaction.
Yeah, what you made. That's much better. Thank you. All right.
Next slide. See if it works.
Ooh, it does. It does.
It looks great on my end.
Yes.
Nice.
It's working.
So, great. Before I talk about participation and interaction, also I can't see the chat right now, so please, if somebody tells me my hair is, I have a bad
Yes.
hair day, then don't tell me. Yeah, so I'm gonna brief you a little bit on the stuff that I've done, and which sort of all combines into the topic today. So I've written books. These are non-fiction books. Some of them I've edited. Some of them I'm the main writer of, or one of the main writers, or some of them I've written articles for. Everything from the rise of the neo right to popular TV series of our age, mostly Game of Thrones, but other stuff too. Then I've written also fiction, mostly historical novels, although the latest one is not a historical novel at all. It's a kids, like a funny kids book, especially for kids who don't read good or don't read as much as their parents would like. It's like a gateway drug to reading, I hope. Yeah, my actual training is also, as with Ama, is at Aalto University. I'm a Master of Art in film department, film school, specializing in writing for TV, screenwriting for film and television. Yeah, took me a while. So I've written short films and screenplays and television series. I've also dabbled in theater. I've written some stage plays, and then I'm a role-playing game designer. The 4 games in the background are role-playing games, written and designed by me, and then Agemonia is an upcoming massive, like really huge board game, narrative board game, and the narrative director for that, Matt Wikström, is the main designer. That's also something now I'm gonna be talking about. Sometimes, not that often, but sometimes mobile games have and digital games, they can have a story. Usually they don't, but sometimes they do. And sometimes the company that makes them decides that they're gonna hire an actual writer to come up with the story. And we have like maybe 3 people in Finland who they can call. And if they can't get one of the good ones, then I'm the third one. And sometimes I've done that kind of stuff as well. Yeah. I'm also an avid LARPer and LARP theorist and LARP designer. I made LARPs for fun, LARP for kids, also LARP for art festivals, art LARPs, or LARPs for with like a political issue or a political reason for being. And then I've worked in several productions where I've combined these arts and crafts of traditional storytelling and television and these or established mediums, and then game writing with interaction and game design and participation. I've been working on this is like 4 different productions, all of them falling under the umbrella term Transmedia. I'll be talking about some of them as well. Some of them are huge successes that have won many awards. Others are others have a cult following.
So great in another way.
Great in another way.
Yeah.
They didn't find their audience.
Mm-hmm.
But some of them did. Yeah, this is me talking about myself.
Oh man.
Talking about myself. Okay. Enough about me.
I love this picture.
It actually happened.
It goes deeper than we thought.
Inception.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with a quote from Richard Schechner from Performance Studies, an introduction. It's a book I have here, actually. I'm showing it so you can tell that I've actually read it. I didn't just Google for it. He talked about performance and ritual and art and storytelling, and how they're all sort of related. And back in the dawn of time, there really wasn't much of a difference. It says, play gives people a chance to temporarily experience the taboo, the excessive, and the risky. You may never be Oedipus or Cleopatra, but you can perform them in play. Ritual and play lead people into a second reality, separate from ordinary life. This reality is one where people can become selves other than their daily selves. I discovered this motto only a couple of years ago when I was writing my master's thesis, but it's, in a way, it gives words to much of what my work has been about, in one way or another. I'm assuming we don't have any audience questions, demands for me to stop. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to say a couple of words about LARP, especially Nordic LARP, which I assume many of our viewers are familiar with, but maybe not all. Anyway, it's crucial for understanding my later points. LARP is a medium and an art form. It's also a hobby. But when I talk about LARP, I'm not talking about the kind of LARP where people hit each other with swords and count points. I'm talking, although that's also LARP, and there you are in another reality, but it's just the actions that you do are mostly hitting or being hit. But I'm talking about the other kind of LARP where you embody a different personality, a different persona, and are mentally and socially transported to a different society where different rules apply, not just about hitting, but different social conventions. The genders may be different. Maybe you're a wizard. Maybe you're in space, fighting machines or secretly collaborating with machines. Maybe it's the modern day, but you're instead of living in a free democracy, you live in an occupied state. Maybe some of our viewers already do, but the participants of this Finnish-Palestinian LARP came from the relatively free Nordic countries to experience life under occupation. That's me in the red shirt and the megaphone in the back, cheering tea protesters.
We got a great quote here from Nido, or no, it's actually a quote from Mika Pohjola, but Nido has now written it in the chat. LARPing, it's not just hitting. Mika Pohjola 2020.
That is correct.
Yes.
I was just today, I discovered a Taiwanese LARPer writing in an American LARP group on Facebook, showing pictures of their LARPs that he writes in all caps, and explaining about the kinds of swords and armor that they use. I started questioning him about, okay, so can you tell us more about Taiwanese LARP, because we don't know anything about it. Where did the influence come from? He said it's like a new thing. And it's all combat, or is there other stuff as well? Yeah, it's all combat, but they would like to explore the more imaginative, narrative-driven, immersive LARP as well, but they're not there yet.
Interesting.
Anyway, in this picture, all the protesters are participants who have been given pre-written characters and have agreed to play together in this state of occupation. The soldiers guarding them are helpers found by the organizers to assist in the creation of the LARP. But the main content of this LARP was to experience life under occupation, live as a different person in a different situation. And that's, in a way, that's true of all LARP. Here we are playing Stone Age hunter-gatherers in a 5-day long event with lots and lots of rituals of becoming grown up, choosing your gender, letting go of the dead ones, people leaving their tribes and joining new tribes, that kind of stuff. It's me.
It's
Look at
you.
those cool makeup.
Yeah. By the way, if
Don't look at my costume.
if anyone has been to any of these LARPs or participated in anything that Mika is talking about here, please raise a hand in chat. Say, me, I was there. Please continue.
Yeah, as you can see from the picture, being really good at crafts and making your own costumes look really fancy, not a requirement for LARP. Many people are really good and make great costumes. I'm not one of them. But I did make this costume myself, as you can probably tell.
It looks cool.
But it worked just fine.
Yeah.
Thanks for saying that. Maybe not true, but still. One thing LARP is often used, sometimes used for is teaching. It's called EduLARP, education LARP. And the idea is that sometimes some things are easy to teach in a classroom environment. For other things, that environment is very bad. And for some people, classrooms are a great way for learning. Their brain is wired that way. And for other people, it doesn't work at all. For them, maybe if it's part of a story and you have a part to play in that story or a game, and to advance in the game, you have to learn certain skills. Then you're motivated to learn, and then you learn it. So there's a school in Denmark that uses LARP and other games to teach its teenagers the regular school curriculum, but just in a very, very different way. And for some kids, it does wonders for their grades. That's something about LARP. I have a bunch of. We are reaching this like a branch in the narrative.
Ooh.
I have a bunch of theory that I could throw at you and talk about how participatory media and interactive media, how they're different from traditional media. Or I could just talk about the actual projects that I've been involved in, and which might be more fun. Also, there's videos. I'm going to talk about them anyway, but do you also want the boring part, the classroom part?
Let's actually let people participate. So what was the options were theory and what was it, projects? Let's see.
Yeah, theory and projects versus test projects.
Right, okay. Let me set up a thing here real quick. Whoops, I can't type. Projects. Okay, let's see if I can actually make this work. Right. Yes, maybe we have all. Oh, Johanna Kolonen says, always here for theory, especially if it makes the case studies better. But you can vote if you want to by using the command ! Vote, and then choose either theory or project. All right.
I can access our chat from my mobile phone.
Yeah.
Let's see what's going on.
This is a good way to test our polls as well. All right.
Test with award-winning writer Mika Pohjola.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, of course.
Did you write that?
Yeah. We haven't talked about the awards yet, but, you know, there are multiple. Oh, yeah, there's a Mika Pohjola in chat as well. Ooh. So, for now, it seems like people are interested in theory. Also interested in projects. Let's give it like another 30 seconds, and then we can actually get to. Yeah, then we.
I can talk about a little bit about the actual. I used some pictures from LARPs. I only
yeah.
talked about the latter two.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is from College of Wizardry, which, as you might guess, is like a Harry Potter inspired LARP for grown-ups, but instead of like an elementary school for or junior high for wizards, it's like university for wizards, and the both staff and teachers as well as students are LARPers from around the world. It's I've been there a couple of times as a professor, and I loved it. It's really. I'm not sure if like that was the main selling point in the beginning, but it became this very inclusive, safe space for weirdos from around the world, for whom maybe being a wizard is more like a metaphor, like it always was for everybody except J.K. Rowling.
Mm-hmm.
And then this picture is by Jean-Paul Bichard from the LARP Monitor Celestra. Not all LARPs are fan creations based on popular IPs, but College of Wizardry and this one are, or started like that anyway. This is inspired by Battlestar Galactica, and Monitor ship Celestra is in the same fleet as Battlestar Galactica, and we actually had visitors from Galactica during the LARP. I can no longer word on this fall.
No, it was. It has now concluded. So, 75% of the voters said theory. So let's talk theory. And as Mika mentioned earlier, he'll talk about the projects anyway. But some theory to, I don't know, use as a bouncing board for that. Yeah, that's what we're doing.
You will. Great. Okay. So I'm going to be talking about, mostly I will be talking about participatory media and interactive media, but to understand what that is, I'm also going to briefly explain what is not participatory or interactive media, which is what I call traditional media. I'm quoting sometimes from this book, Deltagerkultur, participation culture, or participant culture, written and published by Interactive Arts, and written by Christopher Hagren, Elge Larsson, Leo Nordpal, and Gabriel Wieding. Artists are also very familiar with Nordic LARP. Okay, in traditional media, you have an author, for example, a novelist or a painter, who creates a cultural stimulus. For example, a novel or a painting, some sort of work. All works of art would fall under this category, or of traditional art. And then that cultural stimulus is consumed by and affects the audience. For example, the reader of the novel, or a person looking at a painting. Here's a picture of people consuming traditional media. You can even see, in this case, there's the author is a group of people. You can see some of them on screen, on the screen that they're watching. And actually, we're watching this photograph taken in, I assume, the late 1950s in the US. Not sure about that one. So the photograph of them consuming traditional media is also traditional media, and we're the audience of that photograph. Great. Another example of traditional media, This one written by Google, and even though it's like apparently a really poor scan of of the Dead Souls, you can see, and also Finnish, you can see it's this chapter is set in the town of N. What is the town of N? Is it Novosibirsk or Omsk or some other Vladivostok maybe? Some town in Russia. Google never says which town it was, which town it is, which town is the other town, which government this is set in. You decide that. Even though it's traditional media, of course, there's audience interpretation, and everybody creates their own interpretation of that work. But the work itself stays the same. No matter how you interpret it, N is still N for the next person to reach it. That's traditional media for you. Then there is hypertext, interactive media, where you have an author who creates cultural stimuli, which leads to, via links, for example, to other stimuli. Then the audience member, let's say this is like a website. The audience member chooses which stimulus they want to follow, which stimulus they want to see next. All of the stimuli are still created by the author, but the audience, and experienced by the audience. But the audience has to say in which parts of the experience they shown and in which order. Again, this stimuli leads to new stimuli. Sometimes the paths converge. This is sometimes called compared to a tree, like the root. The first stimuli is like the root or the trunk of the tree, and then there's branches with new branches and smaller branches. However, in a real tree, the branches never combine back together, but in this case they do. So maybe like a river forks or something. It's a better metaphor. Anyway, you get. So the black parts are where the audience member has taken themselves. Sometimes they can be links back. So it's unlike a tree, goes back to a previous branch in another part of the tree, and all of this is experienced by the audience. And maybe there's so many options that really it's emergently creates thousands or millions of different variations that the author could not have guessed all of the possible outcomes. Nevertheless, they created all the pieces of the puzzle from which those outcomes are made. Many video games are like this. Here's an example from Skyrim, which also has more generative elements. There's like a very typical video game interactive choice. Why you're wanted for your crimes by the guards of Whiterun, and then one of them runs across you. They want to arrest you. What do? You don't have to vote for it.
Oh, damn. Yeah,
feel free to write in the chat. But anyway, next one is actually we are going to have an interactive element.
Ooh.
Okay. So the guard asks, wants to arrest you, so you can, if you're very charismatic, maybe you just want to persuade them not to do that. I don't have time for this. Do you? Maybe you have better things to do. Maybe you have lots of money. You don't want to fight him. You caught me. I'll pay off my bounty. You're going to lose 2 gold, but you can go free. Maybe for some reason you want to go to jail. Maybe you have a mission there. I submit. Take me to jail. Or maybe you want to fight him. I'd rather die than go to prison. Pig. And maybe if you have some attributes or spells or something, magic items, maybe you're gonna have more options on this list. Turn invisible. One of the core works in interactive fiction were the Choose Your Own Adventure books in the 1980s, as well as the fighting fantasy books, and this is one of them. My favorite because it had a skeleton on the cover, and the skeleton is holding a scythe, and apparently testing the sharpness of the blade of that scythe with its finger. Now, as a grown-up, I'm wondering how much sense the skeletal finger has, but clearly it works for the skeletal purpose. Anyway, these fighting fantasy books work like this. You have lots of very, very short chapters, and most chapters, or many chapters, branch. So now we're gonna have a little vote. I don't know how fast making this vote work is, but if you can make a vote with two options, talk and attack.
Let's see. Oh,
While Amma works on that, I'm gonna talk or attack. This is chapter 213. We've been adventuring in the city of thieves for a while now, and chapter 213, we enter a silversmith store. Inside we see a man with a white apron polishing a silver goblet. At the back of the store, there's a glass cabinet enforced with iron. Inside, there are several kinds of silver objects that we're looking for. What do you do? If you want to talk with the silversmith, go to chapter 248. If you'd rather attack the silversmith, go to chapter 135. If you want to do neither of them, but rather continue on your way east, go to chapter 100. We're not going to do that. But let's see if we want to talk with the silversmith or attack the silversmith.
All right, so you should be able to vote now. You can, by the same logic as previously, you can type exclamation point vote talk or vote attack to influence what happens next. Let's see what kind of people we have in chat today.
Oh, this as well. I've never voted before. I mean, I voted in elections.
Oh, right. All right, let's give it a couple of minutes. Oh, nice. Right. This should be interesting. Of course, Quirky Hijinks is ready to attack at any moment. Yeah, put your finger in the page so you can come back to it if you made the wrong choice. Yeah.
That's very astute.
Yeah.
Actually, I've written a book like this as well. It's here, and it's like one of the things that you're absolutely almost recommended to do while playing this. And of course, if you really want to make sure that they don't do that, then you're gonna have it's gonna be like 3 chapters before you know the actual outcome of your decision, and they'll just run out of fingers at some point.
Oh yeah, that's true as well. You have to have a friend and borrow their fingers as well. Board Games with Scott says, i.e. manual save. Yeah, that's exactly right. What if the guy isn't a smith? We don't know.
Well, no, we know he's in a silversmith store, and he's dressed as a smith, and he's doing silversmithy thing.
Stuff. Yeah, but I mean, Quirky Hijinks raises a good question by asking, what if he's actually a demon? All right.
Well, nevertheless, you're gonna have to choose if you want to talk or attack.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we'll figure out soon enough. Yes, so this is the last moment for you to take part in the poll, and in like 30 seconds ish, I will close the poll. And this is a good time for us to remind everyone that Mika promised me that we'll get to 40 followers today. So if you haven't followed our channel, please do. We are streaming every Monday and Wednesday, different stuff. And in week, oh hey, thank you for following. Scarab.
What's the count? What's the count?
It is now 37. That's correct.
I promised you.
Yep, we're getting close. Yeah, so we have an exciting announcement, hopefully in a week. Shout out from Stockholm. Hello. Hey. Yeah, hopefully in a week.
I'm glad you came all the way here to look at the screen with Finnish text on it.
Yeah. Luckily, you didn't have to actually leave home for that. Okay, time to end our poll. Let's close it and see what the decision is. Talk was the most voted option of the poll with 66.67% of the votes. So let's see what happens.
Okay. So it's talk and chapter 248. You asked if Ben Boriman, you know his name now, if
okay.
Ben Boriman can sell you silver arrows. He says he can't, but he can make you a silver arrow if you pay him 10 gold pieces or 2 magic objects. You can pay him, go to chapter 85. If it's too expensive, go to chapter 42. Now, let's see if we had chosen to attack. Maybe we assume he's a demon.
Right, yeah.
Probably is. So here he is. Looks like a demon.
Wow. Yeah.
Complete with the apron. We only see his face now that we attack him for some reason. Anyway, chapter 135. You grab your sword. The man screams and runs to the back room. We follow him. Seems unarmed, but he's holding an egg and a small key. He claims that the egg contains lethal gas, and he's going to throw it at you. The demon. He is also threatening to swallow the key to his silver cabinet. If you still want to attack him, go to chapter 229. If you'd rather run out and continue on your way, go to chapter 100, which is, as you remember, what the chapter we would have gone to if we'd left earlier.
Right.
So that's how this stuff works.
Yeah.
Inspired by this, a couple of years ago, I wrote a grown-up novel without demons set in the Finnish Civil War of 1918. And in this book, you can choose your gender, what part of Finland you're from, and most importantly, maybe which side you want to be on in the Civil War, or if you want to be a civilian. And then we follow the Civil War, and you get to take part in all the battles and the concentration camps and all the strange little events that took place there, and make choices. And there's even character sheets.
Oh wow!
Like there are in the Finding Fantasy books, which are sorely lacking in the on adventure books.
Mm-hmm.
You can find stuff. You can be hated by the Reds or hated by the Whites. You can be Jewish or some other minority. You can be considered a criminal. You can even become a noble if you're really, really lucky, or get a venereal disease.
Oh yeah, if you're really, really lucky.
No, that's not such good luck. It's right there.
Right. Yeah, I see why this is an adult book.
Yeah, it's. But actually, there's also I've given them three modes of play, or 3 modes of reading. One of them is completely X-rated. All the horrible stuff is going to happen. One of them is random, where you roll dice and see if the horrible stuff does happen or not. And one of them is sort of more kids friendly, where if there's a chance that you're not going to get into concentration camp or being tortured or some other horrible thing happening, then you're going to walk out scot-free.
All right.
I mean, you still might die, but you're not going to get tortured.
Yeah. I mean, at least that's something. Quirky Hijinks comments that now this is how history should be taught. Yep.
I agree.
Me too.
There's a chapter in Finnish. Maybe I'm not going to bother you with that since I have English stuff coming up. Namely, Agemonia, which is the Kickstarter just ended. It's a massive narrative board game. If you played Gloomhaven, you sort of know what genre we're working with. Although I personally think that we've focused more on the narrative aspects, the lore and the story world and the different characters. They all have massive background stories. So I'm gonna. So this is what it looks like when you're playing it. Maybe you have a table. They couldn't afford a table, unfortunately, when they took this picture. Maybe you can
it
spring
be
one.
played without a table?
It can indeed on Tabletopia or the other
other thing.
App.
Oh,
the other thing.
I thought I just made a funny, stupid question, but actually there's a smart.
It can indeed. Welcome to the 2020s. They were actually they soared in popularity during COVID. And the 3 first scenarios are there right now.
Yeah, go check it out.
And the bonus scenario. Yeah. So this is one of the characters, a miniature. They don't come painted like this. It's some professional painting person painted the miniature.
Painting person, yes.
Painting person.
Yep.
So looking at this, you might figure out this is some sort of fighter, blue-skinned with strange ears and a tail, armor, sword, dagger, and a shield with some sort of emblem, like a snake circling a tower or something. Who is this person? Here's the art by Thomas Jeducek, on which the miniature is based on. Yeah, we have a fantastic artist.
Oh, pretty.
Mm-hmm. And you're gonna have a character board which says that this her name is Lunara Brindelion. She is Mihtegri. That's the culture in the background. We have no humans here. And then her character class, if you want to call it that, is either knight or paladin. And at some point, you're going to choose which one. Your character board is going to look like this. You're going to have this different skills and feats, and then sort of like hit points and mana and strength and that kind of stuff. Game mechanical values. But also looking at this, you might notice that behind Lunara, there's a city, and that is her hometown of Orrery Hill. We have art for it, other than this, and Lunara has a massive background story in which Orrery Hill and her the whole Mihtegri society is explored further. Behind, if you flip this around, you're going to see a short synopsis of the background story, which explains to you a little bit of what's going on. Under the stars, House Brindelion tries to stay honorable in the web of deceit that is the Republic of Benin. Based in Orrery Hill, the house is known for its powerful Nagai and wise cosmographers. But Lunara Brindelion is a knight in charge of their armies. Her mother rules the family, and her two elder sisters both have powerful marriages to further them in their careers as heirs. When Star Lunara refuses to take part in the plot of rival houses, she returns to Orrery Hill to find her mother murdered, and herself framed as the culprit.
Oh my
She
god.
will lose her head and tail if she is captured, so she has no choice but to make her escape.
Uh-oh.
Now she is an outlaw, looking for her ancestral Givern scale shield, which may be enough to prove her innocence. But having lived her whole life among the sheltered nobility, she has a hard time getting used to the life of a poor wandering warrior. So that's the setup in a nutshell. But it doesn't end with the nutshell. We have a whole book of these origin stories. We have 7 characters in the game, 7 heroes, and all of them have massive stories. This is just page 1 of 10 or 15 detailing the Lunara's connections and friends and family and the Republic of Benem and different stuff, all of which happens before the actual board game starts. Wow. It's also published as an audiobook. It's on YouTube. Check it out. With like really fantastic special effects and everything, and music.
Oh, this is so
cool. Yeah. But so far this is traditional storytelling. But here's where it gets interesting.
Oh, this is the part. Okay.
Yeah. We have as the game progresses, like each time you play the game, you take the story forward. So we have don't quote me, but we have like 20 different boards and scenarios in the game, and which further the overall story, and you make lots of choices that affect that story. And then each character, each hero has their own stories, which is furthered with the storybook. So the Luna at the beginning, Lunara is an outlaw in hiding, trying to prove her innocence. Her mother has been killed. Who is the killer? And then every time she progresses a level, she also progresses that story and makes choices. We have hundreds of story cards, and then lots of stuff in the storybook, which take the hero's story forward. And eventually, this is a bit of a spoiler, but Lunara has a chance to find that shield and prove her innocence. But maybe she's already learned something on the way, which means that she wants to make some other choice. So every character has like a want and a need, and then the player is the one who makes that choice. Whether to do this, whether to, for example, for another character, whether to liberate their enslaved people at home, or become the new tyrant ruling over those people. That kind of stuff.
I see the text, a romantic interlude there, and my eye is immediately drawn to it. So I have to ask, is that like that piece of text, where is it from? Is it like in the book, or is it in a card, or is it does tell you?
Yeah, it's too long for a card, so it's in the storybook, which contains the heroes, all the heroes' personal stories. All the heroes have like a personal storybook.
Ah, right.
So this is, I think this is the first chapter in Lunara's story once the game begins. So taking off from where the background story ended.
Right. Okay, and then it instructs you to draw cards. Yeah.
Oh yeah. The rumor cards are just like a sort of like a game mechanic separate from this stuff. It's like sometimes you get like new objects or new locations are opened on the map or something, or you get like an extra like an inspiration token for your next scenario.
Right. Gotcha.
But also the story goes on there. Yeah. So all of this then takes place in the gaming table or in the minds of the players as they play the game. Yeah. One fairly well publicized example of this kind of storytelling is Bandersnatch from Netflix, which sort of the fiction flirted with this kind of storytelling, and then the story used this kind of storytelling.
Yeah.
Not too well, in my opinion.
Yeah. Have you guys in chat? Have you seen Bandersnatch? Yeah, it was on Netflix. It was a Black Mirror episode, right? And yeah. There you could choose how it went. I remember I had a friend who wanted to show it to me. They were very, very excited about it. And but yeah, I agree. It's just another pick yes or no, pick this or that, and
do you want to listen to Michael Jackson or Radiohead?
Yeah, I don't really care, do I?
I don't care. Exactly.
How about either?
And sometimes even do you want to open this door, the red door or the green door?
Yeah.
Okay, the green door.
Yeah,
You die.
like yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Like based on what and why and how, what, please. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it goes to show that technically this is completely possible within the streaming services that we have today. But I just wish that they had been here to listen to my lectures.
Exactly.
Too bad for them.
Yeah.
So that is interactive media. We have one more type of media coming up. At some point, we want to also have like breaks so you guys can get some more tea or coffee or use the toilet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have some. Okay, maybe I should do this and then.
Yeah.
Then we have a small break.
Yeah, let's do that. We've been going for an hour, so yeah, let's wrap up the thing that you had in mind and then.
Yeah. So.
Good.
So the theory part continues for a little while, and then remember, you chose this.
Yes, this was your choice. I mean, I love theory.
Except for you, Nidosaurus, you did not choose this, but you just bear with us.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we have participatory media, the maybe the main focus for us here today, and also what we're doing at Beyond Play with Out of Orbit. Again, the author creates a context where experiences can happen. Again, the context or the framework contains cultural stimuli and participants interact. And there's other stimuli, again, with the interaction. For example, the author comes up with the idea of a participatory gallery, and there's copies of lots of famous paintings. So here we have the Mona Lisa, and the participant arriving there is given a red magic marker. So they draw a mustache on the Mona Lisa. And then the second participant arrives and they see a Mona Lisa with a mustache. They have coming to this gallery, they've never seen Mona Lisa without a mustache. And they have a blue magic marker. They're going to draw glasses on the Mona Lisa. And they're going to see The Last Supper, and now they're drawing hamburgers on the table. And third participant again creates new stuff, and then at some point there's so much emergent stuff created by the participants that even the person who created the framework has no control over it anymore, and no knowledge of what's going on, and they're going to be surprised by the interpretation of the Mona Lisa that the participants have created. Maybe not by the fact that they gave her glasses and a mustache, but other things than that. And each participant is going to experience this in their own way. The experience for the first participant is going to be very different than the experience for the 20th participant. The first participant sees a pristine gallery that they destroy, and the 20th participant sees an already very different gallery with very different paintings. And each experience is unique and impossible to share or record. Maybe the 20 participants can go in with their mobile phone and take pictures of the paintings. Then they can show those pictures, which are traditional media. They cannot share the participatory aspect or the participatory experience of that gallery. That only exists in their memory, and even the memory is faulty. So in a way, it's like a butterfly. It's ephemeral. Or butterflies actually are not ephemeral. But
no.
the
But
word ephemeral
yes.
comes from the word butterfly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So unlike a butterfly, this is ephemeral.
Yes, exactly.
My favorite philosopher Hakim Bey called this type of experience immediate. Immediate, both because it happens immediately when it happens, and because it has no medium, so it's immediate, unmediable.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be shared or saved or recorded.
Yeah.
If you record it, then you have a recording, and the recording is traditional media.
Yeah.
So examples of this kind of stuff is, for example, the numerous TV shows and contests where the audience chooses and votes on who gets to stay on and who is voted out. The framework where people are voted out is created by the showrunners or the producers or the screenwriters. The actual choice is made by the audience. Here's 19th century French idea of an interactive movie, something between a Skype call and a video game.
Oh wow!
In a way, this video lecture is kind of like that.
Yep.
And like for you watching this, I'm that lady on the screen, and I don't know what that is, like a telephone or a microphone in your hand. You're the person in the chair. The keyboard where you write in the chat, that's the telephone. So the correspondence cinema worked out almost exactly as predicted 140 years ago. Except that they thought it would happen in 2000.
Yeah.
It's now 2021.
Yeah.
Too bad.
Bad. Right.
Yeah, not sure if this is actually media at all. It's just people. It's just participation, not participatory media. Maybe I should take this part out. Hey,
what's
Dungeons and
this?
Dragons.
Ah.
This is participatory media at
Yeah.
its core.
People heard about it?
Oh, you will know.
Yeah.
The other one is Myrskyn Sankarit, or Age of the Tempest, a tabletop role-playing game I've designed. And here's what it's. On the bottom is what it looks like. People sitting down talking. Maybe they have a piece of paper. Maybe they have some dice. Maybe they can roll the dice, they make some notes on their paper, and they talk. Doesn't look like anything. On the top is what it feels like, what the actual experience is, which is, as discussed, ephemeral and immediate, cannot be recorded or shared. If you record this, you're going to record people sitting down and talking. What's actually happening and what the experience is and what the medium contains is some fantastic adventure or horrible socio-drama or something else. That's role-playing, tabletop role-playing. And of course, we also have live role-playing, or LARP. Again, completely participatory media, completely ephemeral, completely immediate. So what you're looking at is not a LARP, you're looking at a photograph of a LARP. But perhaps in your mind you can imagine what LARP is like by seeing this traditional media portrait. I believe this is a photograph by Tuomas Puikkonen from the LARP Halat Hisar, the Finnish Palestinian LARP.
I just can imagine the soundscape. Oh, yep, same here.
So here we're looking at participatory art happening. That's not a vandal, that's an artist kicking down the glass wall or the window. And a lot of people around that artist trying to turn the participatory art into traditional media. And it's working, because we're looking at one of the pictures that they took. What we see here is like a statue depicting a ritual, worshipping a bull, apparently. Rituals are also, I'm not going to go into this with great depth, although I could. I wrote my master's thesis about it.
I read it.
I'm glad I have one reader.
While I read, yeah, while I was writing my master's thesis. Yeah, you know.
Thank you. My reader count went from 0 to 1.
Ooh.
Anyway, rituals are a form of participatory media where you communally tell a story, often sometimes believing it's true and sometimes not, but nevertheless telling it together, sometimes involving gods or spirits, sometimes just humans. So let's leave it at this. After our short bio break, I'm gonna talk about the truth about Marika and other stories. Would you like a 2-minute break for
yes.
getting more tea, or you can toilet? Is that enough?
Let's do that. We'll be back in a couple of minutes to continue the talk. While we're away, please give us a follow and use the bathroom, grab some drinks, etc., etc. We will be right back. Hello again, everybody. We're back. We are. I think I got some tea.
Hey.
I got some water. Hope you got, I don't know, whatever you wanted to get. A little stretch. And now it's time, yay, to talk about the projects. So, Nido, I hope you're here to hear everything, all about the projects that we skipped earlier. But yes.
I have actually, we have videos of several of these projects.
Mm-hmm.
Alma, are you ready to play the video about the Truth About Marika?
Yes. I assume this is a video that is.
I can explain it a little bit
Yeah.
before you do, but
Right.
making sure.
I am ready.
There.
Ever.
Okay. Should I stop sharing my screen, or does it matter?
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
Okay. Cool. So, this some 15 years ago, I founded a company in Sweden together with Christopher Sandberg, who was CEO, where we wanted to combine LARP and TV, or LARP and traditional storytelling, or participatory and traditional storytelling in some ways. And our first big project was the Truth About Marika, originally Sanningen om Marika, which we call it participation drama. Nowadays we would call it transmedia, but it really was back then groundbreaking participatory storytelling using TV and internet and what passed for social media back then. This is pre-Facebook, pre-YouTube, pre-GPS. So you're going to see a lot of what now look very, very outdated technology. But imagine how experimental seeing a video online was before YouTube.
Yeah.
And how difficult it was to make that.
Yeah, exactly. Nido is saying the Truth About Marika seems really close to what the high-end ARGs are today. Alternative reality games.
Yeah.
And yeah.
We were actually and back then, of course, like it was the golden age of the ARG. So we had the I Love Beast, the Halo advertising ARG,
Yeah.
and some of that had already happened before this, and they were a part of the inspiration for this. Only we thought that okay, they're nice, but are they as nice as LARP? No, they're not. So we're gonna make something much better. So our ambitions were very high. But also in the ARG fashion of the time was the ethos of the ARG was this is not a game.
Yeah.
This is not a game. So it had to smooth, be like a really smooth, seamless combination of reality and fiction, and we followed that belief, which nowadays I would recommend people not to do, but separate fiction and reality quite strongly. It's for many reasons. One of them is safety. One of them is that it allows the participants to participate better. But anyway, back then everybody felt that the game must seem like it's not a game. This is not a game.
Everybody was doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sophie's World of Games. Hello. Nice you could join us. That I did not know what ARG stood for, so I looked it up. So there's a link in chat if anyone wants to check it out.
So it's alternate reality game.
Yeah.
I'll say a little bit about that since it's relevant for
Yep.
the context of Marika. Typical alternate reality games at the time were puzzles of some sort, often internet puzzles, sometimes also real world puzzles. Like, for example, you find a mobile phone on the street, and just as you pass by, it starts ringing. Hello? You must go to this address. What? Who is this? You must go to this address. Because most people are not going to do that, but some people might.
Yeah.
And if they do, then there's going to be like another puzzle. And if they solve that, then they're going to get access to, like, early access to new video game or a party, like a secret party. Sort of related to that, maybe were some people stamped money with like political messages. So when you have a paper bill that says money is oppression or something, and then you pass it along, and then that's like a game. Many of them were also internet puzzles where you had to check out the website and then read the source code of the website and find, okay, so maybe there's information that if I press that pixel, then I'm going to open another website or something. And they were really difficult and like a complex trail of crumbs that you had to follow while pretending that it's not a game.
Yeah. Yeah, Nidosaurus says also that I've taken part in a couple of horror scene ARGs, and yeah, there are the really good ones, and then there are the really, really bad ones that are just borderline dangerous. And there's a question: is it mostly horror, or are there other genres that have taken off in ARGs? And yeah.
What do you say, Amma? It's not at all mostly horror.
No, I don't think so either. I think it's like, of course, there's like investigation plays a heavy part in it. So I think that's more of the mystery is the biggest, horror is the easiest, says Nido. Yeah, that might be the case. I haven't really looked into any statistics, and the golden era, I think, of ARGs is kind of in the past. But I don't think, like, even the examples that I've come across, the big ones, they are not necessarily horror.
No, yeah, I think ARGs and these particular productions that I'm talking about, however, they were like a stepping stone on the road to, for example, Pokemon Go
Yeah.
and Witcher, Monster Hunter, which
Yeah.
are like mixed reality games that you play partly in the real world
Mm-hmm.
and do like mini quests and follow clues and whatever.
Yep.
So they were influential in getting to where we are now, where there's all sorts of genres in that. Like a typical alternate reality game, I guess it's sort of set in the real world, except it's alternate. So there's werewolves or
Yeah.
Pokemon or something. Not quite right, but it wouldn't be set on Middle Earth.
Yeah, right. That would be not too easy to accomplish.
Yeah, because then you might figure out that it actually is a game.
Yep. That is correct.
Anyway, that was like that framework of large and AR alternate reality games and interactive television and whatever is sort of what sprung the Truth About Marika, which was years, if not decades, ahead of time, and it won the International Emmy Award. Nowadays they call that category the digital Emmys. I think they were the interactive Emmys back then. But anyway, should we show the video?
Yes,
So we have.
I have a question about the videos though, because so the one I got from you is a 57-second clip. Is that the correct one, or should we be showing the
No.
trailer?
Oh. We should show there's like a 7-minute.
The trailer. Nope, this
is that called the trailer?
Nope. Okay, I will look it up.
I think it's called show reel. That might be wrong.
Let's see, show reel. Yeah, because I've seen this. Find it.
Google that for you.
Yeah, if you could. Because I have seen this, the one that we want to show. Okay. Yes, I found it. It's in English. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Yeah. So the video we're about to see was made after the Truth About Marika was finished, and then if you apply for the Emmy Award, you have to make like a video explaining what it is that you actually did and why it was so revolutionary and why you should get the award.
Yeah.
So that's the video.
We have an unrelated question in chat. Do you take mentees? I'd love a mentor to improve my game writing skills faster. Already studied game writing at uni, but need more of an edge. I think maybe probably sending us a message after the stream could be a good idea.
There's also like a ton of books and articles and Facebook groups that I could recommend. Maybe that's like a blog post.
Yeah. But yeah, let me see if I can get this video actually up and running. Yeah, you will probably not be able to see this lovely thing right now. But go.
The Swedish public service television company SVT created an interactive drama that gave the nation a new concept: participation drama.
Hear it okay?
I can't hear it.
An unsolved mystery was in the hands of the participants who, with the aid of established internet services such as search engines, Java programs, forums, online games, GPS, and chat rooms, could piece together a solution. This is participation drama, fiction without limits. But let's start from the beginning with Marika's story.
His new wife, Marika, disappears without a trace. But Marika's best friend is convinced that she has joined a secret society and is now living outside the system. What is her husband supposed to think? Could there be a parallel world out there? A reality he isn't aware of? Exactly what is the truth about Marika? Right before the drama series premieres on TV, a conflict erupts. A young woman accuses SVT of using her story about her desperate search for a missing friend without being authorized to do so. The woman claims that SVT has stolen the story from her blog. More and more people join forces with her and visit her site, conspirare.se. They work together to obtain evidence that will reveal that the TV show is based on a true story and that Marika's disappearance is due to a conspiracy. The uproar in connection with Marika's story forces SVT to publicly deal with the charges. In a live TV debate broadcast after the first episode of the drama series, the young woman meets the producer of the series. The producer dismisses her accusations, stating that her version was fabricated after the fact. The woman insists that Marika's identity has been removed from all public records, that the state-run public service television company is in on the conspiracy. In order to refute the accusations made on conspirare.se, SVT creates a website of their own. With the assistance of the viewers, the website editor-in-chief tries to answer the many questions that arise.
This kicked off a 5-week-long adventure, the search for Marika and the people behind her disappearance. SVT crafted an entire universe for the truth about Marika. The website Conspirare was created by the production team. The live debates were pre-taped, and everyone in the studio, apart from a well-known host, was an actor. But the lines between fiction and reality would become even more blurred.
The drama series is peppered with clues and leads. Various signs that viewers can pick up on and explore. The most advanced clues were embedded as subliminal images in the program itself. Participants were able to isolate these images using an internet application. The clues lead to the mysterious society Ordo Serpentis. The participants succeeded in entering the society's website and making contact with Ordo Serpentis. Ordo Serpentis offered the members of the community a number of assignments. The first assignment was to post a secret symbol of the society, the matrix, at a public place, take a picture of it with a mobile phone, and send the image as an MMS back to the society.
Look at that tech.
They gained access to the society's own communication tool, thumbing. The viewers were then able to upgrade their positions by taking on new assignments. And the clues were available both in physical reality and in the virtual gaming universe Entropia. For each completed assignment, the participant received new pieces of the puzzle to go on. The assignments were videotaped or photographed by the participants themselves, and they were included in an archive that generates hundreds of thousands of hours of viewing time on the web and brought the story closer to its conclusion.
The Ordo Serpentis and the code messages were also controlled by SVT. Clues were planted all over the country, on blogs, various communities, and in the virtual world. However, in order to obtain all the clues, participants had to watch the drama series as well. These interactive viewers were the ones to regulate the pace of the detective work leading to the resolution.
What started out as a regular drama series turned into an interactive gaming adventure where the audience became part of the fiction and shaped the story. In other words, the events came full circle.
By splitting up the TV production into a classic drama series and an online story, and letting these events figure in a weekly TV debate, SVT could make good use of the theories, clues, tips, and evidence provided by the participant viewers. 3 windows, 3 venues, and 3 different ways to deal with Marika's story. 3 parts that came together, merging into a conclusion created by the participants. A conclusion that wasn't an ending at all. It's the beginning of a journey towards a new unknown adventure, where fiction without limits continues to live its own life.
Dun dun dun. There we go. Oh wow, that tech! It's so funny to watch that and see those old mobile phones and QR codes and all of that. But I mean, this was the video basically that I remember seeing during your talk at Ropecon, or parts of it maybe, and just being like mind blown. Oh my god, how can you do like anything like this? It like was so ahead of its time. Everybody in the chat agrees. Very cool. So cool.
Yeah, it was. And nowadays, of course, much of the things that we do is just like easy to do with any mobile phone.
Yeah.
Technically, but the storytelling, not regarding that, the storytelling still was top notch.
Yep.
It all started with like a call to arms. Obviously, the streaming small, really old videos for my PowerPoint through Discord and Twitch is not going to work. But we had the blog with video, really experimental at the time and really hard to pull up technically, but we had it. And in the first video, the woman Adriana, who was like in our design group, and a LARPer and an actress, I think we call her an interactor. She played that role for like a year. She asked for people to help her. She's found her friend Marika has gone missing, and she's found these strange diaries with text this way, and really hard to figure out. And she needs your help.
Follow Shogun.
She needs your help to decipher what's going on. And then people commented on the blog, and there was like a forum, conspire.se, Swedish, on where this was discussed. Martin Eriksson was not sure what the actual title was. He was like the main designer of this whole thing. Creative lead, I guess you could call it. One part of penetrating the mysteries, there was a secret society, Ordo Serpentis, and to infiltrate that society, you had to print out this, we call it a matrix. It's not a QR code if you look closely. This is pre-QR code.
True.
It's just black and white dots. You had to print one of them and then post it on a public place and take a picture of it and then post it to the secret society, and then you would gain access. And this is also something we had the players do, and much of them they also shared on their own blogs, which passed for social media at the time. And so they started appearing all around Sweden. And the blogs. And the symbols were also coded messages. And this is like very close to ARGs now. So the forum Conspirare that you see in the right-hand corner, people from all walks of life joined Adriana in helping her to figure out the mystery of missing Marika. This is like a year before TV show starts, and before the TV show was even announced. So they look at the symbols, the matrices, and one of them, maybe like a coder, they say, wait a minute, but what if you look at this as ones and zeros? Then it would mean this. And then they figure out, okay, but if you look at this like it's an ASCII code, the ones and zeros, then it's actually letters and numbers. There's somebody else who's well versed in different ciphers. They say, hey, wait a minute, this is the ancient Greek ciphering method, and if you use this chart to figure out, then you actually get like a time and a date. So this is very ARG, alternate reality game, like puzzle solving with like a group of people solving a puzzle, and then unfortunately once somebody solved it, it stays solved, and there's no content in it anymore for the other players. But we did have some of that. I think it's also a big problem with bigger ARGs. Can you see the video?
Yep.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting that. One of the missions that we had in the, like, if you wanted to get deeper in Ordos and Apprentices is, and these are missions given to Adriana, but also missions given to the participants. I think many of them were LARPers or role players or ARG fans, AR gamers. One of them was that you follow a random person on the street, and then wherever they go, that's where you go, and then you post a matrix there. So this person is following somebody's driving a car pretty far, parking the car, airport. Let's follow them on the plane. Arriving in a different country,
Oh God, yeah.
which is Latvia. And then they keep following that person. It's now dark in Riga. They eventually reach the Russian embassy, which is guarded. The player can't get through the gate, so that's where they posted the matrix. It's like a super extreme example, but
Yep.
it's since we had them, they told these stories to each other, and fortunately this one even took video. So it's one person's crazy adventure becomes content for all the other participants, and especially all the people watching at home. So even if you only had like 100 people as hardcore participants, then what they did was shown to the 100,000 or 500,000 people watching the TV show.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah. Google Earth. Okay, apparently Google Earth existed
Wow,
already.
look at that.
That's an actual picture taken by a satellite of part of Sweden. So we have this tool with locations relevant to the story, and the players could also sometimes decide, okay, we're gonna have a picnic in this and this place, and figure out something, and then wherever, of course, we also read the forums, and wherever they went, we would have the bad guy, the villains of the story, the Cerberus security, Kerberos bevakning. We had one Kerberos van, but wherever the players gathered, that van would always come around behind the corner and just them, creating this illusion that we have a vast story world around them. They're a part of it. Sometimes not everything goes perfectly. We had planned a perfect scene where Adriana takes the players on. Don't worry if you can't see this video.
Yeah, no, it's just like 3 pixels or something.
yeah, it's super low quality.
Yeah.
Anyway, Adriana took the players on a mission to spy on Kerberos security, and we've written this great scene where where she's captured by the guards, and we figured out, wow, what an ending for a week of cool stories. And then they're gonna go to the forums and tell everybody else what happened, and they're gonna try to somehow solve the next puzzle, which is like how to get in contact with Adriana and how to find her. However, in participatory media, sometimes participants don't do what you expect them to. instead of going home and writing about it on the forum, players got into their own car and followed the Kerberos van. One of our we had like a secret game master in the player group, and they texted our game masters saying, "Okay, this just happened. What should I do now? What are we gonna do?" And they contacted the security guards, and Adriana like, "Oh crap, where do we take Adriana?" And we'd set up this like a location for where the headquarters of Kerberos is, and they drove her there. Players followed her, and they dragged Adriana inside. The players just saw her getting into the building. However, somehow the people playing the security guards forgot to lock the car.
Oh no!
And the players stole their van.
Oh man. Okay.
That was our only Kerberos van. Of course, there's lots of we not anticipated this at all, and there's lots of material inside not meant for the players, including some completely unrelated horror LARP papers. Players also found. Yeah. So and then the players went home and wrote about that on. Now what do we do? But of course, that once you've done enough of this stuff, or run tabletop role-playing games, or run LARPs, you know that this sort of thing always happens. Not this exact thing, but something like this. The players do the unexpected, and then you have to think on your feet, and hopefully the end result is greater than you ever could have anticipated.
Yeah. Nido has been commenting. Latest comment says, yeah, sometimes people may break the whole game or just dig too deep or in a totally wrong place. But yeah, then improvising is the way to go. And it also said, getting on board early is the best since you're not sure what's going on and people are gathering and spreading the info and putting their heads together to solve everything. Jumping in later is nice too, but not as thrilling as just stumbling in and starting ARG. Seriously. What's this?
Well, maybe you remember Second Life.
Oh yes, I do. I do.
World's #1 virtual world. So this is world's #2 virtual world. Project Entropia.
Right, yes. Yeah.
The I guess Swedish Second Life, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And the monster that they're fighting is, of course, the Cerberus.
Ah.
And if you kill a Cerberus, you get a Matrix.
Oh.
So it's very deep.
Goes deeper than we thought.
Yeah. But back then, where one of the aesthetic traditions of the emerging transmedia genre was that the more media you have, the better.
Yeah.
If you can have a virtual world, you're gonna get a virtual world.
Have everything.
You better get a virtual world. You don't say no to a virtual world. If you only have mobile phones and blogs and TV show and LARPing, it's okay.
It's just
if you
meh.
have that and a virtual world, yeah slightly meh.
Yeah.
If you also have a virtual world and maybe like a radio transmitter, that's great. Yeah. One of the maybe the biggest stroke of genius that we had was the debate. So we had the LARP-like, ARG-like quests for 100 people, and then we had the regular traditional TV show for hundreds of thousands of people who watch Swedish public service television, SVT. How do you combine them? The TV show has to be taped and edited and color graded and whatever months before it's shown, it's broadcast. So how can that be interactive? Let alone participatory. Well, it can't really.
Yeah.
So what we did was we had the debate after each episode of the TV show, the live debate where we showed videos from the participants' experience. So whatever the one of the 100 people did, we could show them in the debate where we discussed like whether is this inspired by real events or is it just fiction. And in this way, it became meaningful for us to set really cool scenes and events for just a couple of participants, since we could show the outcome of that to all the regular television viewers. So we got SVT to pay for our LARPs this way. And then after the last episode of the last debate, it ends with a call to arms for everybody to gather together at SVT headquarters in Gothenburg, where all the participants and maybe some who weren't participants before joined together for that demonstration where they shouted their slogans and then found Marika. The SVT building in Gothenburg is right next to the Gothenburg River, Gothenburg Älv, Göteborg Älv, and Marika came on a boat, inviting the participants to join her in her exile from society, and some did. Some stayed on shore, and the ones who joined her then sailed off via the river, and were told that even though the fiction now ends, the struggle to find the missing people and the fight the conformist society goes on in the real world. I noticed in the chat a remark that this was back when conspiracy theories were not the property of the far right. That is correct. This was meant as this like a humanist cry against bureaucracy and for value for every human being.
Right.
Not as like a Trumpist neocon propaganda message.
Times have changed.
Times have changed. Indeedo. Anyway, that's the truth about Marika. I can talk hours about it. I won't, but
it's so fascinating
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you guys have any questions or comments that you would like to share or for us to express, send them our way. Happy to answer.
Rachel Rocks has deleted their message twice. Can you create your message?
It is a bot that keeps sending us information about music that is playing stream. But yeah, I think this is like the Sanningen om Marika is such an interesting example of like how everything, like how it's like the whole ecosystem of how the story and everything that the participants do, how it feeds itself and makes it a larger whole in the end. And the fact that you have to think on your feet, and the fact that you can't always predict what players or participants will do will make it a more interesting end result, I guess. Yeah, no music
So
allowed.
very hard to explain to like regular people accustomed to making regular TV shows.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's so different because you have to let go of some of the control, and yeah, and then you have to kind of just try get it all together.
Yeah, like in the showreel video, it sort of might seem like this is a TV show that sprung a phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
People started participating when actually the participation was happening started a year before the TV show.
Yeah, 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 and it also shows like how big of a like how much effort it goes into making something like this. It's not something that can just happen. There's a lot of organizing, a lot of preparation to happen.
I was going to talk about doll play next. It's something like if you've some of you may have seen or heard like me give a lecture like this before. Usually I don't talk that much about doll play because I don't have a great showreel for it. I've lost it. However, I have recently found it.
Here we go.
Also, doll play is relevant for something that Ama and I are working on with Beyond Play.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to talk about that, Ama?
Not yet. Let's wait a week.
Not yet.
Let's wait a week.
Okay.
Yeah, next week I think we can talk a little bit more about that. But I mean, yeah, this is definitely relevant to our interests from that point of view.
So
secrets, yes, secrets.
Okay. I'd like to tell them, but okay, I'll wait a week. Anyway, the doll play is close as a format. It's close to that, whatever it is. Except that now the technology to do what we wanted to do actually exists, unlike 15 years ago when it didn't. Some of you all of you remember Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Firefly.
Yep.
TV series created by Joss Whedon, back then known as Geek Daddy. Nowadays, some considered a little more problematic figure, but also nowadays he's like a super rich Avengers filmmaker. But he started, or he worked quite a bit with television, and his lesser known forays into television include the sci-fi series Dollhouse. Dollhouse is about it's sort of like a fictional robot role players doing missions. Okay, that sounds really stupid.
Yeah, well,
It's about a company that kidnapped a group of people, wiped their memories, and in every episode they implant new memories into their head, a new personality.
That makes more sense.
So Eliza Dushku plays like a ninja in one episode, and then she's a negotiator in the other, and then the dead wife of a businessman in the third, and so on. And then there's other such dolls who also get new personalities, and eventually their real or their birth personalities starts emerging, and then there might be like a rebellion going on. So you could look at it as just like a device for Elisha Dushku to play different characters every episode, or a nice take on postmodern identity theory. Anyway, it wasn't a huge hit, but back when they were making it, before the pilot launched, The Truth About Marika had just won the Emmy Award, and our CEO, Sandberg, toured Hollywood and different studios, giving talks and showing what we've done. That award opens a lot of doors. One of the people he met was Joss Whedon, who watched that same 7-minute show reel of The Truth About Marika, and he started watching it like this, and in the end he was like this. Let's do that. So we did, and we set to work creating an interactive web drama set in the world of Dollhouse, airing at the same time that this TV series airs, for like episodes 1 to 3, I guess. Not spoiling it, but complementing it. And with when there's new information in the TV series, it also affects the our play. Our players will know that, and then they can use that information. So we set to create this TV show. It's all shot in one really small studio built in our office. With a really horrible schedule where we would make a new episode sometimes every day. With write it, and rehearse it, and shoot it, and edit it, and publish it, and then wait for audience feedback and do it again.
It sounds so crazy. Pressure.
Yeah, stupid us. That's what we did. And it was only possible since we did it in Sweden and the main audience was in the US. So there was a time difference which allowed for us to, I think it was like midnight in Sweden when we published the episode. So it's daytime in the US when they first see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then we had game masters awake all night with the Americans. And when it's evening in the US and the chance to interact ends, that's when I come to the office at 8 a.m. to find out what the audience has told our main character, or how they have interacted with our main character. I guess we should watch we also made a show reel of this of course we wanted to win another Emmy Award. We didn't. Nevertheless, the show reel is the video that I found just recently.
Yes, and we have it here today. All right. Should I play the video? All right.
The massively participatory web miniseries Dollplay was aired online and integrated with the television show on Fox. Storylines and characters wandered seamlessly from one medium to another.
I'm not wasting the crackers. There's just plenty of whole ones over there, and these are all broken up. Eric, I think you got it. A. Rose is mom. I know she was involved in experimental memory studies, and that these devices were used to record people's memories. You better not try that stuff on me, because I won't do it. I mean, I'm not gonna sit in that clockwork orange version of a hairdresser's chair and take people inside me. Wait, that came out wrong.
For the series, a new browser-based application was developed, allowing the audience to record their own videos with just one click. Press to play was effectively changed to press to communicate, and in 3 weeks there was a record-breaking response of over 1,000 videos submitted by the audience, totaling 1,100 minutes of video. The audience also submitted 1,000 form entries and over 1.5 million letters of chat. All this without any marketing, save for an internet address after the second episode on television and a banner on fox.com/dollhouse. The audience even recorded multiple takes, complete with bloopers.
Let's try again, because I haven't already done this 15 times before.
Hello, Hazel. Hello, Hazel. Hello, Hazel. Oh, that's good, too.
Dollplay featured a vast array of content and functionality, calling for an optimized solution of clustered servers from numerous providers to ensure speed and robustness. To realize the vision of real interaction between a primetime show and its audience, a whole new rapid production model had to be invented. Dollplay was an incredibly intense production, with over 50 webisodes produced in 3 weeks. Each evening, the linear script was rewritten in response to the audience actions, and every night, new episodes were shot in HD and post-produced to be aired online the very next day. More than 1.5 hours of drama was produced in total. This called for a very rapid and agile writing and production process never seen before. Dollplay deepened the understanding of rich interactivity in scripted drama, inventing some interesting new models for storytelling. The underlying murder plotline was fragmented into a non-linear narrative where the audience became scientists, detectives, and friends to the main character Hazel Rose. Forced to submit to the experimental sci-fi technology of the Dollhouse universe, Hazel is imprinted with different characters before she can solve the mystery and get out of the lab in which she is imprisoned. The audience gets to talk to all the witnesses and interrogate all the suspects, putting the pieces together.
This is so pneumatic.
Dollplay features several of the characters in the world of Dollhouse, including one of the on-air main characters, Topher. As the story deepens, the underlying theme of identity and personal choices become clearer. In the end, Dollplay is a story about Hazel's struggle to become whole, and the audience become the friends who help her. The television script had to be reverse engineered, allowing for clues to be planted on air, helping the participants online. To create a believable memory laboratory, Stanford neuroscience researchers produced an academic paper, turning fiction into science. The audience was able to freely use the chemical laboratory and brain scan technology available to the main character to solve different problems. Well, at least up until Topher decided to throw a cocktail party in the lab, depleting much of the limited drug supply.
Yes, oh my god, thank you. Oh yeah, you are my knight in shining online videos. I'm not alone.
There we go. Whew. That's I remember actually seeing this way back when as well, and looking into Dollplay quite a lot while I was writing my bachelor's thesis, because I found this so fascinating, like how you can use the participants' input and, as they said, reverse engineer kind of what goes on, how the whole writing process is so different from anything else. Super cool.
It really was.
Yeah.
And we although we make plans for like when you design a role-playing scenario, you make plans and then you have to adapt them quite a bit depending on what the players do.
Yeah.
So here we also had like a story arc planned, and then this happens or this happens, but it didn't always go as we thought.
Yeah.
The first big issue was after the very first episode, the participants, they made videos saying like, try to simulate it. State your full name and occupation, stuff like that, and we expected them to say, okay, hey, it's okay, we're people watching you from afar, and we want to help you. So together we'll get through this. We'll help you get through this. Instead, they acted like she was some sort of robot, and they were really scary. So the second episode, which was supposed to be, oh, thank you for your help, was more like, oh, so you're my captor. I'm not gonna do what you tell me. All of our plans had to be postponed until the players, after that, managed to calm her down and befriend her.
Yeah.
Here's some pictures of us planning this. I was the main writer, the head writer, drawing a very traditional 3-act story structure for this. That's our main game designer, Martin Eriksson, working with me on this.
Emo riddles.
Then we had emo riddles. Yeah, we, as you could tell, we had these ARG type puzzles, like the chess puzzle.
Oh yes.
And you have to solve to show that you're who that person thinks you are. Okay. Anyway. But then we quickly figured out that what creates much more interesting content from the participants, and it's much more interesting for us, is are these emotional riddles, like calming Hazel down, or later on convincing her that her mother actually used this memory technology on her when she was a child, which she absolutely refuses to believe at first. So how do you approach that? There's like multiple different possible routes for you to try to explain that, or try to influence her, or you could go some other way. But for like a chess puzzle, there's one correct answer and all the others are wrong.
Yeah.
So they're not that interesting in this context. Otherwise, they're great. Here's what our plans look like in the end. That's
Oh wow.
fairly self-explanatory, I think.
Yeah. I mean, completely. I understand everything.
The squares are webisodes, and the triangles are nights during which the audience has a chance to interact.
Right.
So at one point we had 2 nights, so we could take a day off.
Ooh, the luxury.
Walk in the park. Yeah.
Oh wow. Hashtag Squid Game.
Sometimes we had bigger chunks where there's different personalities in the laboratory that Hazel can implant. So if we would give them, the audience, a chance to choose in which order they happen. If they chose to, let's take Topher's personality, then okay, the next 3 episodes are okay. Now we're gonna get the Topher episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, stuff might still happen within them, but okay, we know that during the next 3 episodes, she's not gonna be the other guys. Oh, sorry, same slide again. Foolish of me. Yeah, that was doll play.
That was, yeah. As I said, I remember actually, like, there's not much documentation online, but I remember seeing this. Maybe you showed it in your talk way back when, or maybe it was I found it some other way, but it's again one of those things where you're just like, oh my god, like this is how you make something like something so much more interesting, something so much more engaging, and something that could be enjoyable on its own, something that you're much more invested in because you have agency, you can actually somehow influence what goes on, and then you have a stake in it. And I'm so sad, I like all of these cool things always pass me by and I just read about them, but it's cool nonetheless. Again, if you have questions, please send them to us in the chat.
Yeah, and with modern day technology, of course, doing this would be super easy. Everybody has video cameras on their mobile phones, and but yeah, this is just before Facebook launched, for example. So, and even when it did not launch, there was no video on Facebook.
Yeah.
But nowadays, doing that kind of like a video gallery where you vote video is your best, its favorite, and that kind of stuff. So
easy peasy. Yeah.
And doing a show like that on Twitch, for example, yeah, there's tools already built for that. Our chief technical officer, Staffan Semberg, together with Daniel Sundström, they built custom built all of that technology for us. Maybe that's the reason why the show will have so much technical information and which Flash provider we used or whatever.
All right, yeah. But
that's relevant for winning an Emmy.
Yes.
We didn't.
Yes.
We're not even nominated for.
Yeah. But yes, this is very relevant or interests. Oh, Flash. F's in the chat for Flash. Yeah. Or yeah, let's not talk more about Flash. Emo riddles, hey. What is this? Looks like art.
Yeah, these are I explained what they are, but this yeah, so this is like stuff that she could find in the lab, random strange stuff, and she could scan this, and then the players could see it in the files section of the website or something. So the hard drive contains one of the personalities, and then these are pictures drawn by her when she was a child, proving that it was her mother who worked here.
Here we go again.
These are instructions for using the chair to, or the laboratory to implant memories.
Right. Yeah. I think that's also like
And
it's such a fun way to include like more people, more characters.
Even we still operate under the this is not a game paradigm, and so we had to figure out a reason for why is there a video camera broadcasting stuff inside the laboratory. But as you can see, all experiments must be recorded using NEMA test subject interview system for full credit.
Makes perfect sense.
NEMA test subject interview system is the way in which she can communicate with the participants. Otherwise, it will make no sense.
Yeah.
I have slides here about Baltic Warriors, which is a LARP campaign, but I think I'm not going to talk about that since we're running out of screen time.
Yeah. But I don't know. Does that website work?
Oh, I don't know.
Let's see.
Yeah, to the participants to find out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Here it is. I will not tell you what it contains, but it yep.
My
somewhere.
final, I was thinking my final case example would be Conspiracy for Good, which is I guess it's the third big project we had at the company P.
Yeah.
Company where we made the Marika and doll play.
Yeah, I think actually, when were you starting? This was in 2000 and remember? Nope, never mind. I'm trying to time this because
9.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it was 2009. I remember hearing about this also somewhere, but it can't have been. Well, maybe it was during your talk.
No,
2010
is yeah.
Yeah.
We started planning this 2009, I guess, and
Yeah, so maybe
2010
summer.
summer.
Maybe it actually was during the Ropecon talk. You were talking about the 2 previous ones, and this was kind of in the works, or you were launching it back then. Maybe something like that. Yeah. Anyway, not important, but a detail my brain caught on to. So, Conspiracy for Good.
Yeah. I guess we have to end at 10. Is that like a mandatory deadline? Okay, we'll end at 10.
We can end at 10, yes. I mean, I could go all night, but I think that's a good goal.
Yeah, our participants might be less eager.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay, let's agree to end at 10. And but we have time enough to talk about Conspiracy for Good.
Yes, for sure.
Which is in a way, it's another child of the fame of Marika. This planning for this started when Barack Obama had just been elected president of the US. So I'm guessing that's like January 2009. And the mood was optimistic. Finally, the good guys won, and the time for American imperialism is over.
Mm-hmm.
The age of American imperialism is over, and now we're gonna all the world is gonna enjoy democracy and peace and democratic socialism. Finally, that mood didn't last very long once Obama's presidency actually started, but that was nevertheless the feeling we had. So we wanted to make this like a reverse conspiracy story where there's actually a conspiracy that's doing good stuff instead of a conspiracy doing bad stuff. Because usually until now the bad stuff hasn't been done in conspiracies. It's been done by governments and militaries and huge companies in completely open view, not in conspiracies. But what if there was a secret conspiracy of good guys doing good things? And then we had this. I'm not going to show it to you now, but somebody made like a video with civil rights leaders all carrying the tri-circular symbol of the conspiracy for good, like Martin Luther King and Mahatma Gandhi and people like that. So what if there was an organization like that and you could join it, and then there will be some sort of quest for you to do to fight the bad guys? Yeah. Wait till you hear about the bad guys. Anyway, Tim Kring is back then we knew him as the creator of the superhero TV show Heroes, which was really popular at the time. it made plenty of other TV shows as well. It's like a big time Hollywood showrunner. And Nokia, the Finnish company, the Finnish mobile game company was like this was also. I'm taking you back to a time when the iPhone was the next big thing. If you were really cool and rich, you had Tim Kring had an iPhone, and Nokia also wanted to make a smartphone, and to create like a big thing out of the launch of their next iPhone model, which would have image recognition software. Imagine that. They contacted Tim Kring to create some sort of story of some kind around their phone. And there's like Finnish guys contacting the Tim Kring. And then Tim Kring said, "Yeah, okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, but I want the Swedish media house, company P, the Emmy Award winning this media house. I want them to be like the studio I created with." So then his people and Nokia people then approached us to do this thing with them, for them. Nokia had to go all the way to the US to hire a Finnish guy. That's how it works sometimes. And Nokia, like their main goal was to have us use their image recognition software in some interesting way in our storytelling. And we had this idea of the conspiracy for good, who are fighting bad guys, the Blackwell Briggs multinational corporation, with sort of like combination between Blackwater, they changed their name, but back then they were one of the profiteers and masterminds, profiteers of and masterminds behind the war in Iraq and the whole Bush administration. And we thought that kind of thinking is now out of vogue with the Obama administration. And a combination between that and this oppressive surveillance companies, like you have these CCTV cameras of spying on your every move. We had all read Naomi Klein's No Logo a couple of years before and felt like, okay, we have to reclaim the streets and surveillance cameras are bad and that kind of stuff. So what if you had this really, really evil multinational corporation, and they also made mobile phones, but not like Nokia. They're like bad guys who make mobile phones, and they want to get a law passed that would allow them to use the mobile phones to spy on you. That's some pretty evil stuff. Unbeknownst to us, the lovely good guy companies like Apple, who created the iPhone, had not waited for such a law to be passed. They were already using our mobile phone file. It was a more innocent time. Yeah. Fact is stranger than reality. I'm gonna write that down. Okay, I guess this is a good time to play the video. Again, this is made for me. This again made for applying for the Emmy Award.
firm in faith. Men of courage.
In the spring of 2010, London witnessed the global launch of the Conspiracy for Good, a radical new form of entertainment called social benefit storytelling, which allowed people's participation inside a story to do real good in the real world. Powered by Nokia, the producers designed the most ambitious multi-platform narrative ever seen, engaging a crew of over 130 people in 5 countries to create a story that lived all around the participants all the time. It all started with a 3-month-long alternate reality game that included website discoveries, puzzles, tweets, and text messages, all enhanced by 3 mobile games created specifically to advance the story. And on July the 17th, the story burst from the web and onto the streets of London, culminating in 4 weeks of real-world gameplay and live theatre that would forever change the definition of audience participation.
Get out of my face, move.
And this is the story they told.
Why are you running? Are you a member?
Rows and rows of silent stones in the cemetery. They don't need your time, just your testimony.
In 2010, recording artist Nadira X puts her career on hold to teach school in Zambia, where she plans to build a new library for her students.
I always spoke from the heart, set hypocrisy apart.
However, the library is never built. The books, shipped from London, mysteriously go missing.
We have very firm ideas who's behind this.
The main suspect is multinational corporation Blackwell Briggs, who plans to build an oil pipeline directly through the village.
Can I get 5 minutes of his time?
Nadira turns to her friend, David Nasofu, a local employee of the British company. He promises her and the school kids that he'll go to headquarters to save the library. But all that remains of his ill-fated London visit is a series of videos of him running for his life through the streets. And then, he disappeared.
Dun, dun, dun.
Where did he go? And what did he know? To search for David and help Nadira build her library, an ancient secret society called the Conspiracy for Good came to the rescue. People from around the world joined the cause. But in keeping with the society's secret tradition, always stated that they were not a member.
I'm not a member.
I'm not a member.
I'm not a member. I am not a member.
I am not a member.
Conspiracyforgood.com was launched. Thousands came to the site to conspire to do good and help build the library. Participants worked together to chat and share clues, decode documents, and decipher music. Critical pieces of the mission were solved. Map coordinates led to Nadira's school, which was in Chaitaka village, eastern Zambia. Deciphered songs led to Room to Read, which agreed to build a library in Chaitaka. People even adopted the conspiracy's logo, selling merchandise to benefit the cause. 3 cell phone games released important hacking tools to play the game and were downloaded over 900,000 times around the world. With them, participants hacked the servers at blackwellbriggs.com and quickly learned of the company's illegal activities. But only one person held the final silver bullet that could bring down the company: Nadira. Across 20 webisodes, participants located Nadira in Zambia and convinced her to travel to London to complete David's mission. The conspiracy used OV maps to guide her the entire distance to Tower Bridge, where she was greeted by fans, but also Blackwell Briggs agents, eager to stop anyone helping her. In London, the action had arrived.
Whatever happens today will be the end of this chapter or our fight. With far beyond enemy lines.
Over 4 consecutive Saturdays, participants helped Nadira follow David's trail through the city using Nokia's revolutionary mobile technology called Point and Find, which picked up digital tags hidden in art and graffiti. These tags opened an image or a video in their phone, which led to the next spot in the city. Suddenly, the streets of London were a treasure trove of hidden clues and messages.
Go straight to Ying Out.
Participants also found secret underground concerts where they celebrated the conspiracy's actions that day. But Blackwell Briggs security was always close behind. Because agents surveyed the participants every day, Twitter was the communication form of choice, and to complete important actions, flash mobs were created to divert the agents. A hostage handover was negotiated, a headquarters established, and caches of supplies discovered. On August the 7th, Ian Briggs was toppled at his very own press conference, infiltrated by Nadira herself and the conspiracy for good.
I want to say thank you to everyone for your support. Because of you, Room 3 will build a library for 450 students in Shatta Village.
Let me testify, only I can give you what's deep inside. Hey, will you make them see? Make no testimony. This is truly me. Yeah. So they'll believe. And in some future time, if they attempt to disown me, I'll have to rely on your testimony.
Yeah, Perky Hijinks says just wow. Yeah, it is a big one. Pretty impressive. So cool. Yeah, it is pretty cool. I mean, even when you look at the tech that was used, the image recognition thing, the way it's utilized is it's pretty neat. Hey.
The image recognition software was like the worst part of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Experimental software doesn't always work.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's more like the idea is pretty cool.
Yeah. But then when it's rainy or there's fog or smog, like there's quite often in London, it doesn't recognize the image.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, this there were a lot of elements in this, a lot of cool elements, like the flash mobs and London, and then making videos all around, like a trip from Africa to Europe to the UK, and then ARG puzzles online and actual mobile games published in the Nokia's app store called Ovi Store, made by Kuasema, a Finnish company. And then a bunch of musicians. Dave Stewart of Eurythmics was our music director or from something. Anyway, worked on this to get us cool new musicians, and then we had those underground gigs as part of the thing, where these cool new musicians played. Matt Osman of Suede was like a local guide showing us cool places in London. Nadira X and Anne-Marie Calhoun were both professional musicians. they were like supposed to be like the stars of this thing, even though they were not actresses or LARPers, but musicians. And then the charity thing of building schools and libraries.
Yeah.
And then the candy factory thing of making a conspiracy for good candy. I don't know. Now it's 11 years later. I can say that they didn't always combine perfectly those elements. And then of course we had video storytelling that you had to watch through your phone to see what happened here a day earlier. But when it's like a group of 5 people and they have one phone, and you're in the middle of London, you can't really hear what's going on, except one person has headphones, and then they have to explain to the other ones. There were problems, and we did not win the International Emmy Award, but we were an International Emmy Award nominee, and we did win some other awards. So it's like, all in all, it's like a quite successful project, and the biggest one that we did by far. This time we didn't call it. Yeah. No, not at all. This time we didn't call it participation drama or transmedia. We called it social benefit storytelling.
Yeah. Interesting.
Because there was an actual social benefit.
Yeah.
Of course, in building libraries and schools in Zambia. One might ask if we would have made more of an impact if we just spent this money on building schools instead of doing like helicopter shoots over London.
Right. Yes, you could argue that, I guess.
Yeah. Although I'm not sure if Nokia would have given money for that.
Yeah, that's the other part of the argument.
Yeah. Also, the getting kids to read is like a very approachable and very acceptable goal for any movement. The original idea behind Conspiracy for Good was maybe a little bit more radical. Of course, we had to run this by the Nokia's corporate responsibility department, and the director of corporate responsibility at Nokia at the time was former Finnish Centre Party Prime Minister Esko Aho. So he had to approve of our radical message.
Right. Yes.
Reading is good.
Reading is good. Let's just agree on that.
Yeah. So that's the extent of how radical you can be when working with multinational corporations.
Yeah.
In the Obama era.
Yep.
15 minutes to go. Okay, I'm gonna let you in on some of my secrets.
Let me see if I can. I can't actually. Damn, did the slides stop working now?
Are my slides not working?
Yeah.
You should see like a white slide with text.
I can't see anything. It just didn't. Yeah, it stopped working together. See if I can.
No matter. It doesn't matter. Okay. We only have 15 minutes left. I'm gonna explain a little bit on how we approach creating a project like this. I see the slides, but you don't. We created. I created specifically a Transmedia Bible, which has, like, if you know how TV series are made, there's often a Bible, and if you make a video game, there's a game design document. So this is like those, but has more stuff. The chapter titles include treatment, transmedia element, which is a list of all the media that we use, the fiction, design specification, technology specification, business and marketing, user journey, and then credits and contacts. Technology specification, for example, I don't know what any of this means, but all of this has to go into the Bible.
Yeah.
It has these sub chapters called service build infrastructure, user management, coding and builds, content management, backend and server, quality assurance testing. So all of the tech stuff that may be relevant for some other department than the tech department is here.
Mm-hmm.
Business and marketing, yes, that's fairly straightforward.
Yeah.
Design specification includes design aesthetic, branding, storyboard, style guide, color, and font specs. That's useful for like a million different departments. And that included, for example, the logo with 3 circles.
Yeah.
Or the symbol.
Symbol, yeah.
The biggest parts for writing, for interaction and participation are the first 3 ones. Excuse me. Treatment, transmedia elements, and the fiction. As I mentioned earlier, the more media you have, the more transmedial it is, or that's how we felt. We had the transmedia elements include ARGs, which are the web puzzles. Then we have webisodes, which are the videos from the road trip, Nadira's road trip to Africa and Europe. Video drops, which are the videos that you find when the image recognition works, and then you see a video that happened there. So sort of like augmented reality, except augmented reality back then was just like a glimmer in our eye. One day there will be technology will allow us to make augmented reality. So we sort of make like a MacGyver version of that. Live events, which is much of what you saw in the video. Mm-hmm. Mobile games, websites, compilation videos. After each live event, we made a compilation video combining the video drops and the live events and stuff, depending. So like what had happened before. Like before the next live event, we would watch that, so everybody would be on track. And then social media already was becoming like a part of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Not as big as it would be nowadays.
Yeah.
But still pretty big.
Relevant still.
The fiction chapter included like lore about the world. What is the conspiracy for good? What is Blackwell Briggs? Are these characters? And then the treatment included background about the whole story, then a synopsis of what's going to happen. You would have an actual script of like a participation script, and then like regular screenplays for each video, and then characters. Who is Nadira in this story? Who is Anne-Marie in this story, etc. Sorry, I need more tea. I still have a little bit cold tea.
Cold tea, yum.
And this is when we stopped. After this, we stopped working with the "this is not a game" paradigm. The reason for this is because "this is not a game" works if people know it is a game. Yeah. If they don't know it's a game, then if you tell them it's not a game, it's just going to confuse them. 2. At the start, we had the 2 musicians, Nadira X, with the black woman going on the road trip, and then Anne-Marie Calhoun, who's in the video drops in London, and then you see both of them in the live events. And both of them were at the time active musicians, and and they had fans who liked their work. Anne-Marie Calhoun was a violinist. She's a violinist, and the spark of the story, the inciting incident of Conspiracy for Good, was that Anne-Marie Calhoun goes missing, and then the participants start digging out information and finding out, okay, so what actually happened, and okay, what if I check out the source code of this website, and what if I follow the clues, and then I figure out there's like a conspiracy for good, and there's Blackwell Briggs. Why did Blackwell Briggs kidnap her, and who is this person that she talked to? Who is David Nshofu? Okay, David Nshofu was an employee of Blackwell Briggs, etc. The reaction of real people when they hear that their favorite artist has gone missing or is maybe kidnapped is not this.
Yeah.
It's like outrage. Oh, should my thoughts and prayers go to her family. Is there anything we can do? They're really worried. Maybe they lose sleep. And then they do try to figure out what happened. And they found out, okay, so conspiracy for good, what is that? Did they kidnap Anne-Marie Calhoun? The website for Conspiracy for Good is registered by Nokia. The hell is going on?
Suspicious.
And yeah, so they know, believing that it's not a game as we told them to, but didn't mean it. They were outraged to learn that Anne-Marie Calhoun's disappearance was a hoax by Nokia. A hoax, a vicious hoax.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of bad publicity amongst her fans for that. Certainly, we didn't turn them into like big fans of Conspiracy for Good. And after that, we came up with the radical new paradigm. This is a game.
What?
Indeed.
Oh gosh.
Imagine our surprise when this actually made it easier for people to participate in the game.
That is odd indeed.
That is odd. We have 5 more minutes to go. We can take a couple of audience questions or comments. Oh, needless to say that we also had.
Wait, it was a game?
Mm-hmm. Was it?
Who knows?
Not sure
yeah, I mean,
anymore.
if we talk about what the definition of a game is, then maybe in some ways it was, and in some ways it wasn't.
Indeed.
Real life consequence. Is this a game? Question. Am I a game? Oh, wow. Okay, now it's getting deeper than...
Okay, we have 5 minutes, but I promise to answer questions. So,
okay, go ahead.
The short answer is sort of yes. In postmodern identity theory, especially Stuart Hall, this is also summarized in how do you pronounce the name? Dr. Harari's nonfiction book, Homo Deus, that the self that you have is your real self, your true self doesn't exist. It's a bunch of roles and identities that sort of work together sometimes and sometimes not. Sometimes you're a dad taking care of your family, and sometimes you're a transmedia expert talking about participation writing, and sometimes you're a lover, and sometimes you're a son, and sometimes you're a wizard professor teaching defense against the dark arts. and they're also just different kinds of identities playing with each other, playing on each other, and you choose your role every day. Paraphrase Buddhism, you're sort of born again every minute into a different version of yourself. There's no winner or loser, but other than that, sort of you are a game.
Okay, that was kind of unexpected, but here we are.
Yeah, sorry. That can happen.
I mean, this is what you get for asking the question. It's
not my fault.
No. I mean, you're here to provide the answers. But you know what? The saddest thing about this whole ordeal is that we have not reached our follower goal yet. We need 2 more followers to get to 40.
Oh crap! I promised you 40.
You did promise, and I don't know what will happen if this, I don't know. Yeah. We might have to resolve this another time. Next time.
Did I promise you 40 today?
I think so. I don't remember. Does anyone else remember? I want to stop sharing your screen, by the way. And
I do indeed.
Yay.
I'm not really sharing it.
Oh, okay. For some reason.
Or am I?
Maybe?
I mean, yes, but you can't see it.
Yeah.
I'm sharing it, but you can't see it.
Yeah. Okay. Now, there we go. Nope. Now I can't see you. Great. This is a good time to end. Let's see what happens with the followers.
I think that is it from us.
Yep.
Tonight.
Yep. I cannot see Mika
It's nearly
anymore.
bedtime in Finland. I think Alma just froze, or maybe I just froze.
Nope. I'm still
Who
here.
froze?
Mika
I
is
froze. Okay, crap.
yeah. Mika is frozen, or I am, or something. Might be coming back. Anywho, this is a perfect time to end because Tech is apparently not willing to cooperate with us anymore. This was a super interesting topic, and it was so much fun to actually go back to some of these projects and hear about them. It's been like over 10 years last time. Hello? Yeah? Maybe have Mika. Sure. But make sure to follow us on social media. You will find us... Well, Quirky Hijinks has actually just...
Hello.
Hey! Here is Mika. Awesome. Yeah, Quirky Hijinks posted some information about where to find us, and we are 1 follow away from 40. Damn, it's close. Maybe if we just kind of eat it out a little bit. Thank you, Aislian. And it also says was super interesting. It was indeed, and kind of reminds me of why I got on this path where I am today. I wasn't even a part of it, but I was so inspired, and it keeps.
In fact, the out of orbit space room that we should have talked about, but we didn't have time for it.
Yeah, no.
Where Amma was the designer, it's like a continuation of this as well.
Yeah, it all is. It all is. And on Wednesday, during our next stream, Jessica will join me and teach me to actually do like hands-on craft something. We'll be working with Empty Epsilon, which is a space bridge simulator thing, which we use in our game room. And it might play a part in our super secret, or what were we calling it? Sneakret. Sneaky and secret. Sneakret project that we'll talk about more next week. So on Wednesday, Jessica will teach me how to actually create an Empty Epsilon scenario. I'm not a programmer by any means. I know a little bit of programming, some basics, but it should be friendly for a person like me to So please join us if you're interested in learning how to do things with Empty Epsilon, especially if you're someone who likes to design maybe LARPs or something where you use Empty Epsilon as a tool. Then join us on Wednesday. And next week more on the Snoopers Sneakret project, as Nido said it. Snoopers Sneakret. Okay, enough tongue twisters. Let's call it a day for now. Thank you, Mika, for talking about all this stuff.
Thank you, Alma, for hosting this, and thank you to all our lovely participants and interactors out there.
Yeah. Let's interact again. On Wednesday. See you then. Bye.